Ethics in nursing research. Introduction. Ethics is nothing but the rights of the research subject in all disciplines must be protected to the fullest possible extent. When the subjects are vulnerable, these old age people and the people those who are bedridden, such type of the disabled people, the research proposal must explain how subjects' rights will be protected. Definition. Ethics in nursing can be defined as the act of moral principles. It's a moral principles that the researcher has to follow while conducting nursing research to ensure the rights and welfare of individuals, groups or community under study. Importance of ethics in nursing research. So why we are having the ethical principles in nursing research? First, to protect the vulnerable group and other study participants from harmful effect of experimental interventions, and even safeguard the participants from exploitation by researchers and establish the risk benefit ratio for the study subjects. So whenever we are introducing some independent variable, we should see the risk of the subjects, so that should be always balanced. Our risk and benefit ratio should be always balanced and ensure the fullest respect, dignity, privacy, disclosure of information and fair treatment for study subjects. So whenever they are saying some information that should be kept in secret, and example that the patient is diagnosed with HIV, so sometimes that the family members may not be knowing that the person is having HIV, so such type of information should be kept in a secret manner. So these are the things. And the fair treatment, always whenever we are giving a free of cost treatment as a base side of the researcher, it should be given in a proper manner, and we should not see any bias for the patient and always give a fair treatment for every subject. So since they are having the right to receive the fair treatment. Build the capability of subjects to accept or reject participation in study and to have access to informed or written consent for participation in research study. So here we have the subjects have the full right to accept or reject participation. So sometimes if you are doing study for a particular subject for 7 days, 2 days they will be continuing, and the third way they may be withdrawing from the study, because they are having the right to withdraw from the study at any time, and we should also get a consent from the subject. Code of ethics in nursing research. So code of ethics is very important tool for nurses to have, because nursing is a very complex and dynamic profession that deals with human lives, omissions, substandard of care and negligence and not tolerated. So here we have to maintain certain code when we are dealing with the human beings. The code reminds nurses to the primary focus, which is centered around the care and rights of the patient. So why we are having the certain code? So it helps to protect ourselves and the patient. Coming to the principle of beneficence. The principle of beneficence is a moral obligation to act for the benefit of others. Beneficence, the word itself, it says that is something that the person who are involved in the research, they are getting some benefit. There are two aspects of beneficence, that is providing benefits and balancing benefits and risk harms. So first on providing benefits, so the person is involved in the study, we are giving some stipend or something for the patient, okay, for certain month or throughout the period. And second one, balancing benefits and risk harm. Sometimes we may be having some compromise that we will be providing certain benefits. So after involving in the study, the person may develop some side effect due to our intervention, or in introducing some due to the effect of our intervention. So what we have to do, always amount of providing the benefit should be increased based on the to help to balance the risk and harm. The principle of beneficence supports the following moral rules or obligations. First, protect and defend the right of others, then prevent harm from occurring to others, and remove conditions that will cause harm, and even help persons with disabilities and rescue persons in danger. Next, coming to the principle of justice. Justice is a healthcare is usually defined as a form of fairness, or an Aristotle once said, giving to each that which is his due. So sometimes we may be having some due for the patient, amount of money or whatever it may be, that should be given. That is the justice. Okay, this implies the fair distribution of goods in society and requires that we look at the role of entitlement. So sometimes we used to see that the person is not at all justice. So what is the right of giving to certain thing to others, that should be given. The question of distributive justice also seems to hinge on the fact that some goods and services are in short supply. So sometimes we may be involved in the research study for a short period. So within that short period, even one month or 2 months, so within that short period, how much fair treatment or how much fairness you can give for the person, those involved in the study, that should be given in a form of justice manner. There is not enough to go around. There's some fair means of allocating scarce resources must be determined. To each person an equal share, to each person according to need, to each person according to effort, to each person according to contribution, to each person according to merit, to each person according to free market exchanges. Principle of respect to human dignity. Here the participants have full right to question the researcher for any additional information or clarification of doubts. So initially itself we will be getting informed consent. That time itself we will disclose that what are the information we are supposed to collect. But sometimes after involving the study we may be seeking additional information. Here the person who are participated in the study, they have the right to question the researcher in case if you are asking for additional information for your study. And participants have right to quiet from the study at any stage of the research study. And a fully informed consent must be taken from the participants. Coming to the informed consent. Informed consent is the process in which a healthcare provider educates the patient about the risk, benefits and alternatives of a given procedure or intervention. So here the patient must be competent to make a voluntary decision. So we should not compel or push the patient to give the consent. So they have the full independent and they can take their own decision independently. That is the voluntary decision about whether to undergo the procedure or intervention. The informed consent process makes sure that the healthcare provider has given the information. So before getting the informed consent, we should make sure whether we have given certain types of information. First, name of the condition. Second, the name of the procedure or treatment that the healthcare provider recommends, and the risk and benefits of the treatment or procedure, and the risk and benefits of other options including not getting the treatment or procedure. Then signing informed consent means. So signing informed consent means that the patient has the right to receive all the treatment options from the healthcare provider, and they can understand the information and they can have a chance to ask questions, and they can use this information to decide if you want to receive the recommended treatment option. They can explain to you, and sometimes they may choose to receive only part of the recommended care. So here sometimes you may be having an experimental group and control group. So sometimes the person will not be agreeing to be in a control group, so they want to be in an experimental group. And even sometimes some type of treatment you may be giving, the person will be having any other option. So these are the rights they are having. They are having to arise questions before giving the informed consent. Then if the person agree to receive all or some of the treatment options, so here they can give you consent by signing a consent form. The completed and signed form is a legal document that the doctors go ahead with the treatment plan. Here as a researcher, so that is the legal document, so we have to keep it confidential. Waiver of informed consent. Here the consent refers to the provision of approval or assent, particularly and especially after thoughtful consideration. And the waiver of consent relieves the person or organization required to obtain consent from actually getting that consent. The research involves no more than minimal risk subjects. The research could not be carried out practicably without the waiver or alteration, and the waiver or alteration will not adversely affect the rights and welfare of the subjects. And where appropriate, the subjects will be provided with additional information about their participation. A study on nurses' time utilization in productive and non-productive activities during work period. And here behavior of the nurses with the patients and their family in surgical wards we can observe, performance observation of the nurses in medical ward we can do, and such ethical dilemma must be dealt carefully. So these of the studies we have to deal it very careful manner. Coming to the goals of the informed consent process. First, give the subject information about the research. Make sure the subject has time to consider all options. So we have to give certain time to think and answer all of the subject's questions before the decision is made. So before taking final decision, we have to clarify all the doubts and clear the doubts of the subject, and make sure that all information is understood by the subject. So that's what, whenever we are getting the informed consent, better we have to translate into their own language so that they can understand each and every step easily, so that they can independently. Obtain the subject's voluntary informed consent to participate. Continue to inform the subject throughout the research study, and continue to reaffirm subject consent to participate throughout the research study. So even after getting the consent, we have to confirm, okay, whether they are continuing the study or not. Coming to the investigator responsibilities in regarding the informed consent. Obtain consent before initiating study specific procedures, and provide a quiet, comfortable and private setting for the informed consent process whenever possible, and explain the consent process to the subject, and make sure the subject has time to consider all the options. Allow subject to take the form home before signing, and consider the subject's reading abilities. Check the make sure WIB has not disallowed subjects unable to read, and if enrollment of limited or non-reader is allowed, involve an impartial witness in the informed consent process, and answer all questions. And the extent possible, make sure the subject understand enough information about the research study to give informed consent, and even we have to check it the consent free from coercion or other under undue influence. So if someone is pushing them to give consent, that should not be accepted. We should find out that the person consciously, independently they are giving the consent for participating in the study. And since the informed consent process continues throughout the subject, participation in the study consent should be informed verified on a continuing basis, and significant new information must be given to the subject and continuing. And in consent documented in some way, for example, new risk information presented to the subject in an addendum of the signed by subjects who agree to continue to participate. So before conducting any study and a new way of intervention, if you are doing that, is that explanation, ongoing explanation to be given to the subjects. Coming to the ICMR ethical guidelines for biomedical research. First, principle of essentiality. Here, consideration of 4 alternatives in the light of existing knowledge, the use of human participant is considered to be essential for the proposed study. Here you have to explain the essentiality of the human subject to participate in the study. Next, principle of voluntariness. Here we have to respect for the right of participation, to agree or not to agree to participate in research, to withdraw from research at any time. Here you can give the full right to the person who's involved in the study. They have the full right to participate, to agree or not agree, or even withdraw from your study. Principle of non-exploitation. The research participants are equitably selected so that the benefits and burdens of the research are distributed fairly and without any arbitrariness or discrimination. So here sufficient safeguards to protect vulnerable group to be ensured. Principle of social responsibility. And research is planned and conducted so as to avoid creation or deepening of social and historic divisions. So in any way disturb social harmony. So we should not disturb any social harmony, the religious factors or community relationships. Principle of ensuring privacy and confidentiality. Always maintain privacy and confidentiality. Whenever we are identifying records are kept confidential and the access is limited. Principle of risk minimization. So whenever the care is taken, the TCS sponsors, regulators ensure that the risks are minimized and appropriate care given. In case sometimes risk has occurred, always we have to provide some compensation. Principle of professional competence. Always research is planned, conducted, and evaluated and monitored throughout by persons who are competent and have the appropriate and relevant qualifications. So always the research should be done by a qualified people. Principle of maximization of benefit. So care is taken to design and conduct the research in such a way to directly or indirectly maximize the benefits to the research participants. Principle of institutional arrangements. Here we will be having certain policies for appropriate research governance and take the responsibility to facilitate research by providing required infrastructure, manpower, funds and training opportunities. Principle of transparency and accountability. Here emanating from the research are brought into the public domain through registries, reports and scientific and other publications while safeguarding the right to privacy of the participants. And the stakeholders involved in research should disclose any existing conflict of interest and manage it appropriately. So any conflicted situation has come, the researcher has to manage it appropriately. Principle of totality of responsibility. Here the stakeholders involved in research are responsible for their actions. The professional, social and moral responsibilities with ethical guidelines and related regulations are binding on all stakeholders directly or indirectly. Principle of environmental protection, whereby researchers are accountable. Here we have to protect the environment, researchers throughout the stages of the research in compliance existing guidelines and regulations. Coming to the Code of Ethics for Nurses in India. Here the nurse respects the uniqueness of individual in provision of care, provides individual care without consideration of caste, creed, religion, culture, ethnicity, gender, socio-economic and political status, personal attributes or any other accounts. So we have to respect their beliefs, values and cultural sensitivities. And appreciate the place of individual in the family and community and facilitate participation, and always develops and promotes trustful relationship with individual and recognize uniqueness of response of individuals to interventions and adapts accordingly. And always the nurse respects the individuals in the partner of care and appreciates the individual rights to make decisions about their care, and we have to provide adequate and accurate information for enabling them to make informed choices and respect the decisions made by them. Protects public from misinformation and misinterpretations, advocates special provision to protect vulnerable groups. And the nurse respects the individual's right to privacy, maintain confidentiality, and serves information judicially, and respect the individual's rights to privacy of their personal information. Always maintain confidentiality of privileged information except in life-threatening situation. And takes informed concern and maintain anonymity when information is required for quality assurance academic, and limits the access to all personal records written and computerized to authorized persons only. And the nurses has to maintain competence in order to render quality nursing care, and always the nursing care should be provided by registered nurse, and the researcher should be a qualified person, and she should uphold the standards of care, and she should have a continuing education, initiates and utilizes all opportunities for self-development. And she has to value the development of nursing profession and participates in nursing research adhering to ethical principles, and the researcher has to oblige to practice within the framework of ethical, professional and legal boundaries, and she has to adhere the code of ethics, code of professional conduct for nurses in India, and familiarizes with the relevant laws and practices in accord. And she has to oblige to work harmoniously with the members of health team, and appreciates all team efforts and cooperates, coordinates and collaborates with the team. And she has to commit to reciprocate the trust invested in nursing profession, demonstrate personal etiquettes in all dealings, demonstrate professional attributes in all dealings. Responsibilities of a nurse researcher. Ethical focus is a duty to care toward the research participants, and the researchers need to ensure that the participants understand the risk and benefit they choose to participate in the study, as well as implementing appropriate design, data management practices that will respect participants' rights. Thank you.